How's it going, everyone? My name is True Wonder Dog, and today we're having an in-depth look at Sindel. I was lucky enough to play her early about a week ago, but I only had about 1 hour to use her. Whereas today we have all the time in the world, baby, so without any further ado, let's look at this character in great detail. Okay, so first up, let's start with the universals, the short hop. So Sindel has a double hitting short hop kick. And according to the Kombat cast, she might be the only character in the game who actually has that, so that's a bit exceptional. And then the short hop punch. This thing has ridiculous range on it. Hits very, very far in front of her, almost started the round, but not quite. Even so, that's a lot of range on this thing, inching ever closer. There you go, that's the max range this thing has. It may be one of the furthest reaching short hops in the entire game. So in terms of short hops, Sindel is very unique. Let's check out these throws. The forward throw. Oh my god, this one is so violent. Ugh, it makes me cringe a little bit. The slow pull. Alright, great for starting off zoning. Now, oddly enough, Sindel's only a zoner in variation 3, so the forward throw is not going to be what you want to do most of the time unless the opponent's already cornered. Let's check out that back throw. Oh, the animation here is a lot more fun. Stabby stab, stab. And there you go, around jumping distance. So about the range of my hair attack, though I gotta do the far version if I wanna actually get her. And keep in mind, both of these throws will crushing blow, and the criteria is the same as it is for most characters. So if they escape fail once, the next throw is going to crushing blow, and they have to guess because both of them can do it. Very powerful throw game. And next up we have the pokes. Now this might be where Sindel is actually the weakest. So if you look at her down 1, 8 frames on startup. That's not very good, and unlike other characters such as Katana who have a slow down 1, the range isn't that exceptional on this thing. It's not terrible, but for being 8 frames, the range isn't what you'd expect. Now her down 3 has really good range, quite good. Now the startup is 13 frames, so again pretty slow, but the range on it is still pretty darn good. But then this down 4. This might be one of the worst down 4s in the game. Just like Jackie, it's not super good. Now it does stagger the opponent, and look at that, 9 frames. So it is her second fastest crouching attack that she has. So down 1, not very quick. Down 4, slightly slower, but does stagger the opponent. So not the best crouching game, it's where Sindel might be the weakest. And speaking of crouch attacks, let's look at this uppercut. This thing has crazy horizontal range, almost Jade 2.0, and it also hits very high up as well. Let me go ahead and tell Katana to jump forward at me, and just check out the range on this thing vertical. It hits her all the way at the peak of that jump. If you're in front of me, I'm gonna knock you out of the sky with this thing. Now, oddly enough, does not hit directly above me, so check that out. If the opponent's crossing you up, this might miss, so not quite as good as Jade's uppercut, but great vertical range and great horizontal range, still one of the best uppercuts in the entire game. And then last but not least, we have the jump-ins. So jumping 1. Pretty darn good for starting off combos. I like the angle and it comes out quickly, so it could be a decent air-to-air as well. And then jumping 2 does more damage, but you have to really delay it if you want to hit a grounded opponent. But if the opponent sees this coming, they can anti-air you pretty easily, so it's not going to be your best jump-in most of the time, but it's still fairly damaging. So if you want to start off combos with a bang, this is what you would do, but once again, it's got to be a whiff punish because the opponent has all day to see it coming. But how about the kicks? Is it a Baraka level kick? Seems to have pretty good vertical range, not the best horizontal range, but hits very far below her. Even at the peak of my jump, I can do this and still hit the opponent, so it's kinda good for sniping. You can probably do it instantly, yeah, look at that. It's a mid in that scenario, but still, it's a lot of range on that thing. It's pretty far below her, so not a Baraka level kick, but really good vertical range. Alright, and that is it for the universal attacks. Let's check out the special moves next. Now I want to start off with the universal ones, and then we'll talk about the different variations. So first up, we have the main squeeze. This attack can be great for ending combos. It's very, very fast, and also a good whiff punish because the range on this thing is almost exactly jumping distance. So great for punishing whiffed attacks, and also a good way to end combos. And then if you spin the bar, it can be one of the best ways to end combos. So look at that, 15%. That second hit hurts so much. And when you amplify it, you can actually choose which direction you toss the opponent. So if I hold back, I toss the opponent behind me. Fantastic. If you ever find yourself in the corner, you can end a combo with this, and now suddenly the opponent's the one in the corner. So just to give you an idea of how much damage this thing does, here's a very short unbreakable combo. 25% unbreakable 1 bar. Very easy damage. This thing is a great way to end your combos if you just want damage, and you spin that bar, boom. Opponent can't escape it, 15%. Very good way to end combos, especially short combos. And next up we have Scream. Very good range on this thing, once again around jumping distance, and that's a good thing because on whiff punish or counter hit, this thing will crushing blow, and if you get that, I do believe it's a free combo, but let's go ahead and find out. I may have to dash in for this. And it's still comboed. So you can dash forward and then jump in and still have time to combo. That might be the most hit stun on any crushing blow. That's just crazy. So if this thing ever lands on counter hit, you get a full jump in combo. Fantastic stuff. Real quick, let's see how much damage that does just for fun. Oh my god. 33% and the opponent couldn't break away from that. Fantastic. I love crushing blows that start combos when the opponent can't actually break away. That's awesome. But we're still not done. This move is actually pretty complicated. So you can charge this move, and once it glows, it actually staggers the opponent, once again starting off combos. I was a bit late there, but I do believe you get a full jump in. Yes, you do. So for whatever reason, the opponent just stands there or walks right into you or jumps into you while you're charging this thing. Once you glow, it's a meterless combo starter. Awesome stuff. And you can also amplify this move as well, which gives you a lot more range. What is the range on this thing? Oh my goodness. Oh my god. So like 2 different jumping distances. So jump away twice. That's about the range on this thing, and it will still crushing blow, I think. Yes, it does. So the amplified version does in fact crushing blow. So if you spin that bar from far away, you greatly increase your range, which does increase the odds of a counter hit, at which point you can dash forward and jump in for a full combo. And then last but not least, you can also cancel this move as well for some decent mix-ups. So you're doing a combo, nope, I'm going for a throw instead. And you can move almost immediately after canceling it. So it's great for pressure and just tricking the opponent in general. They think the mix-up is coming. Is it going to be a low? Is it going to be an overhead? Nope, you're wrong on all fronts. Actually, what it's going to be is a cancel and a throw. That's what's going to happen. So it gives her even more mix-ups if you want to spin that bar to cancel it. And then finally, we have Regal Presence. I don't find many uses for this move. You can dash around for a very long time, so it could be good for running out the clock, or if the opponent's playing constant keep away, you can jump and then do it and try to fly in and close that gap. Or at around this distance, you can fly in, drop in, maybe get a punish if they do an attack with very long recovery. But outside of that, I don't find this move very useful. She has it in every single variation, but sadly you can't do anything while you're up here except drop down by pressing the down button. Even so, it could be good for running out the clock if you have the life lead. It could be good for avoiding projectiles or trying to get in, all that fun stuff. And next up we have the attack strings, and Sindel has quite a lot. So first up we have Come Forward. This can be great if you want to do all 3 hits to keep yourself safe, because the first 2 on block are -5, but the final hit is actually only -3 and has all this pushback, so it basically resets the neutral, and it's the perfect distance that Sindel wants to be at because this overhead has crazy good range. So if the opponent blocks your first 2 hits, you want to do the full string to keep yourself very safe and reset the neutral. And because standing 1 is Sindel's fastest attack, that means 1-1 is your go-to punish. You spin the bar and then get your combo started. And then we have Banshee's Cry. So the first hit on this has really good range, like deceptively good. It's nothing crazy, but a lot better than you would think. And then if you finish the whole thing, once again it's your safer option. So if they block the first 2 hits, that third hit is only -4, so it keeps you pretty darn safe. And the first 2 hits also do really good damage, 77. So if you don't want to end your combos with this because the timing's a bit too tough for you, you can do Banshee's Cry instead because the first 2 hits do a lot of damage. And then we have Evil Queen. The range on this first hit cannot be exaggerated. So if I backdash, that's how far it is. Look at the range on this thing. That is absolutely absurd. Easily one of the best whiff punishes in the entire game. And the first hit is also an overhead, which is scary because back 2 is a low. And it's got pretty decent range too. So Sindel does have a 50-50, and she starts off combos with both. Now the one option costs meter, but even so, the point remains. She can start combos with low, or she can start combos with overheads. She has 50-50s. And then best of all, that final hit is actually safe on block. So if you do up 2, it's -8, but you're so far away the opponent can't punish you. Whereas the first 2 hits, I do believe, yes, very punishable, -15. So the first 2 are actually far more punishable. So if the opponent does block this, just do the first 2, and if they block, do up +2 to keep yourself safe. Fantastic stuff. And then Malevolent Queen is a low-hitting mix-up attack, and I believe this is also fully punishable. However, here's the thing. The third hit of Evil Queen, while it is safe, can be flawless blocked, whereas the low attack will catch the opponent trying to do that. So it's a bit of a meta game. The low version might be punishable, but it's also a mix-up and will beat the flawless block option. And perhaps even better still, in some variations this does give you a 50-50. In variation 1, she has this special move that hits overhead, so now you have this string that can end with an overhead or low, and the opponent has to guess. Very sneaky stuff. And then we have back it up. So this first hit has deceptively good range, hits a lot further than you might think, and the third hit is actually plus on block, so check this out. Boom, we are now +3. The opponent has to deal with your offense. Awesome stuff. Now the thing is, that final hit is a high attack, so they could duck under it. Now if they go for that, that's why you want to do Bride of Khan, because the final hit there is an overhead. It'll catch them trying to crouch. And that string can also be a mix-up in variation 3 because she has a low hitting projectile, so that final hit is actually a 50-50 as well. But once the opponent has learned to fear this overhead, they're gonna start stand blocking, and once that happens, you can get your plus frames. Very awesome stuff. And last but not least, for back it up, that final hit, if it lands by itself, is actually a crushing blow. Boom! The best looking crushing blow in the entire game. Only about 24%, but still pretty awesome. And once again, that would only really happen if the opponent was trying to press a button, I guess, or something to that extent. It's not going to be very likely to happen. But also that second hit, Sindel gets so low, she actually does go under high attacks and also high hitting projectiles, so in theory you could get lucky and dodge a projectile and then catch them with that third hit, at which point you would also get the crushing blow. So it may happen every now and then. It's not very likely, but it could happen. As long as that final hit lands by itself, you will get that crushing blow. And then last but not least, we have Dark Intentions. So this first hit has crazy good range. It's a mid attack, it's 14 frames, so fairly fast, and it's also the most damaging way to start off and end your combos most of the time. So it's a really good whiff punish and does a lot of damage as well. Now here's the thing, on block, -7, not too bad, but it is the opponent's turn. Now if you finish it, you get a lot more distance and it's -13. You do it in the neutral, and then if it's blocked, you just finish it to keep yourself safe. Now if you want that damage though, this is your move, so check this out. Oh my god, have you ever seen an easier 30% in your life? This first hit just does so much damage, great for starting off combos and great for ending them as well. So it's okay in the neutral, and it's also one of her fastest moves I believe in terms of mids because the back 3 is 19 frames, this overhead is very slow, 25, so I think this might be your fastest move that the opponent has to actually block. So it may be your best tool in the neutral in terms of speed, and also your go-to if they get hit by your down 1, because you're +11, then you go for this and they have to deal with it. Cool stuff. And of course we gotta talk about Arcane Overload. This thing is a low hitting combo starter at just below jumping distance, so really good range on this thing. Now it is technically punishable on block at -17, but look at all of that range. Most players aren't going to know how to punish this thing, and if you do it at max distance, most characters can't even punish it outside of Sub-Zero, maybe Noob Saibot. Most characters still can't do a thing as long as you space this move properly. Look at that distance, I'm almost 2 jumps away. Most characters can't reach me from here. So in summary, you have a low hitting, meterless combo starter, which does a pretty decent amount of damage all on its own. And then if you ask me, the best thing about this move is going to be punishing wake ups. You knock the opponent down, you back up a bit, they go for a wake up, boom, you punish them and get a full combo. And that is it for all of Sindel's base options, so next up let's talk about variation 1. So first up we have Haircut. It's not much by itself, but it's somewhat fast and does hit mid, so it could end combos in some situations. But once you spin that bar, you have a go-to combo starter. It's fantastic. It works on pretty much everything. Now keep in mind, its range isn't the best. So if you land a move like this, it's gonna miss completely and they can punish you because this move is -16 on block. So you wanna make sure to space it appropriately. If Sindel's not very close, she may not get that follow-up, so just be warned. And also keep in mind, the opponent can drop immediately after that first hit. So as you're spinning the bar, they're already starting to get up, so you're either neutral or at a frame disadvantage. So it's not the best option all the time, and at high level, the opponent's gonna know that and drop immediately, which is why if they have 2 bars, you wanna end the combo with Hair Flip instead, or maybe even this attack, the back forward 1, because Hair Nut when amplified, it's a great combo starter, but the opponent can drop down right away, so it's a bit risky. However, even so, it's still a great combo starter, and you can actually amplify it twice in the same combo, which is crazy. You get some pretty good damage if you do it though, so if it kills the opponent, I say go for it. It's a very easy 35, if not 40% a lot of the time, so if you want to spend 2 bars in the same combo, it's going to be a decent amount of damage. And then next up, we have Whip and Flip. Very damaging attack and also hits overhead, so as mentioned earlier, it's a 50-50, so that ends in a low? Not anymore. Now it's an overhead, 50-50, and this string too. Second hit's a low, not anymore. Now it's an overhead, 50-50 city, and on top of that, it's also the most damaging way to end your combos. Very good stuff. Now it's a bit slow, 21 frames, so it's not going to work if the combo's super long, but it still works very well for mid to short combos. It's a lot of damage. And it also has different distances as well, so by default, it's around jumping distance. If you hold back, it hits much closer, and then if you hold forward, it has a far version. So really, really good, and it also has a crushing blow as well, so let's check that out. So if you punish a low attack or a ducking attack, you get this crushing blow, and it starts off combos without any meter. So let's go ahead and test this out. Oh, there we go, that counted. So that wasn't even a low attack. Once again, just a crouching attack is all it takes to get the crushing blow on this thing. So that's really awesome. Now it's gotta be right away, but even so, meterless combo starter, that is just awesome. Oh my god, 30% no meter, awesome. Now real quick, a word of warning, this attack is very minus 18 on block, so it's very, very risky. So even though it is a possible 50-50 and also leads to a crushing blow, it's still very risky if you do it raw, so just keep that in mind. And now on to variation 2, so I call this one the big boy variation because it's not for beginners. It's certainly one of the toughest variations to actually use in the game, but at the same time it's very rewarding, very good mobility, very good combos that the opponent can't break away from, so it's very good, it just takes a lot of skill to use properly. So first up we have Maleficent March. So you walk forward with your stand courtesy of JoJo, and then if you walk a certain distance before releasing it, you get the crushing blow. And just like the Shriek in variation 1, this will stagger the opponent, so you can jump in and get a full combo, or even dash forward and get a full combo. It's a ton of hit stun. Now you might be wondering, how do you trick the opponent into blocking for that long? Well, here's the thing. At any point in time, you can release it, and it's pretty darn good range. Hits from very far away and does decent damage as well. And even better still, you can actually amplify it and increase the damage and the range on this thing. So let's see what it is if I amplify it. Oh, and you walk forward the entire time and the opponent has to deal with it. And I do believe Stephanie said it has crazy block damage too, so let's go ahead and see. Oh my goodness, that was almost 10% just blocking. That is pretty crazy. So if the opponent's near death and you catch them with this, it's just guaranteed death. Now sadly the amplified version does not crushing blow, but it comes out in 7 frames, so it's meant to scare the opponent. They don't want to hit you when you're marching because at any point in time you can amplify and then it comes out almost instantly. So if they press a button and you see it, boom, you catch them with this and decent damage, and they're also full screen. So they're scared of that amplified option. So they're just blocking as you walk forward, and then you catch them and you get the crushing blow. That's the idea. And then to make this move even better, you can cancel it by pressing down. So you can go for a throw or go for more pressure, all that good stuff. So not only is the opponent afraid of you amplifying it in their face and doing tons of damage, but they're also scared you might cancel it and go for a throw. And then we have Deadly Echo. This attack can only be done from the air, but it's a nice little short hop. And if you hold forward, Sindel actually goes further. So it's great for avoiding attacks and projectiles to close that gap. And then of course you can also do double jump-ins with this bad boy to either extend combos or just go for a double overhead mix-up on the opponent. Very, very cool stuff. Now of course the timing is actually rather difficult, so it's easier said than done. And I don't believe jumping 1 actually has enough hit stun to make it happen, unfortunately. I wish it did, but it seems like the opponent can block almost immediately. I guess you could do the kick. That would still work. But you can't do jumping 1, then float and then jumping 1 again, or jumping 1, float and then jumping 2. However, you could start off your combo with a jumping 2 and extend the combo that way. And then last but not least, we have the Banshee Dash. This projectile actually goes further than you might think. You can dash backwards and it still reaches from about there. It's not quite full screen, but the range on this thing is actually pretty crazy. And then if you spin the bar, you travel behind it and then get your jump in for a full combo. And then last but not least, we have variation 3. This is the counter zoning variation. So if you're fighting Cetrion, Scarlet, or Jade, and they just keep throwing stuff at you, this is the variation you want to use. So first up, we have Low Star Screamer, a low hitting projectile, which does actually make it a mix-up because Sindel does have some strings that end in an overhead, like this one for example. So now instead of an overhead, you do a low, and you catch the opponent off guard. Now of course it's very unsafe, -14, so it's a bit risky to go for this mix-up, but even so it is an option. And best of all, Sindel gets very low when firing this, which means she ducks other projectiles from the opponent. So it's very, very good for counter zoning, and if you amplify, you get more damage and a knockdown. Awesome stuff. What's it like on block? It's -11, so a bit better and more space as well. Still very, very risky, but even so, it's a little bit safer. And then we have Air Banshee Barrage. This one had everyone very terrified, And I'll admit, it does look very, very strong. A bunch of mid-hitting projectiles from the sky. Once again, it's very good for counter zoning. If the opponent keeps throwing things at you, you jump up and counter them with this. Awesome. And then if you spin the bar, it actually is a combo starter, so that makes it seem a little bit menacing, but keep in mind in this variation the combos hurt a lot less than they do in variation 1 or 2. So if you do get hit by it, it's not that big of a deal, and to be fair, I think Sindel deserves some combos in this variation. And do be warned that unlike Jade's air projectiles, this thing is not safe on block at all. So check this out, minus 27, even off of a short hop. It's a very, very risky move to do. Minus 30, oh my goodness, it's very punishable, so very high risk, and honestly not that big of a reward, but even so, still great for counter zoning. And then last but not least, we have the Royal Trap. This move is bizarre. For starters, it can only be done in the air, but if done very close to the opponent, it has unblockable babies that deal damage over time. Now, it's not very much. That's about 5% damage, but I'm wondering, does it still hit them while I throw? It does. So now my throw does about 20% damage. That's not too bad. I like that. And if I throw right away, will it do even more damage? Nah, still only about 18%, but even so, it's about 20% damage overall, so not too shabby. And keep in mind, you can keep doing these. There's no limit to how many you can do. Now, thankfully, they go away pretty darn quickly, so let's go ahead and see that. Even if they don't hit the opponent, they're gone pretty darn quick. Look at that, it's already gone. So it's not that menacing. It's kind of like Beerus's orbs in Dragon Ball FighterZ. You just keep setting them up, and I think the main idea behind this is that you get the life lead, and the opponent tries to chase after you, but nope, they will get hit by these. So if they have less than 10% health, this will guaranteed kill them, and they just can't close that gap. Instead, they gotta throw things at you. That's pretty darn scary, or even better yet, in the corner, you do a jump in, land it, and then summon this, and they're just stuck, so let's check that out in the corner. So let's say you jump over, get a whiff punish, and then summon this, they're just guaranteed dead when they get up if they're low on health. So that's pretty scary too. It's not the easiest thing to set up because the startup is somewhat long, but at the same time, if you have that life lead, they have to chase you down now. So if you're fighting somebody like Jackie in variation 1, and she has less life than you and you summon this, she's just screwed. Because now she has to take damage when she approaches you. Very intimidating stuff. Alright, so we've covered all 3 variations, so now time for my final thoughts. Is Sindel terrific or terrible? Well, for starters, I love how every variation is something different. The first one is very beginner friendly, it's great for combos and also does really good damage, and then variation 2 is for the experienced player. It has some really tough to block mix-ups, some very good mobility, and the combos are unbreakable while also doing decent damage, but they're also very tough to do. And then for variation 3, you have the keep away variation that's also good for counter zoning. So Sindel has a little bit of everything, so in that regard she's a very solid character. Not to mention Sindel's range is just ridiculous. So many of her attacks have fantastic range. She's going to be really good at outfootseeing the opponent. She can also get frame advantage, all that good stuff. Now here's one weakness though. Sindel is quite slow. As mentioned earlier, her poke game is really weak. Her down 1 is 8 frames. And unlike Katana, whose down 1 is also slow, Sindel's down 3 is even slower. So for Katana, her down 1 isn't that fast, but her down 3 is still 7 frames. Sindel does not have that. Her down 3, down 4, down 1, they're all 8 frames or slower, so she's not very fast in that regard. But then for her fastest mid, she has forward 4, which is 14 frames. So even a character like Terminator, who was made fun of a lot for being slow, he still had a 10 frame mid that you had to block. For Sindel, her fastest mid is 14 frames. So while Sindel is very strong from a distance, once the opponent closes that gap and God forbid corners you, she's gonna have a very tough time getting back on the offense again. However, even so, she still seems like a very balanced character and I could definitely see myself maining her. But please let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below, and then while you're down there, please leave a like and share this video around if you enjoyed. And finally, why not keep that combo going by subscribing and ringing that bell, that way you never miss a future video. Make sure to come back next time, and as always, stay underdogs.